Yes, Sadgurudeo. Good morning to all of you. Welcome to weekly English Satsang organized by North American Institute of Vihangam Yoga. My name is Nituraj and I have joined the Satsang from Connecticut. Before I proceed further, I would like to offer my prayers to the lotus feet of Sadgurudeo. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Dev Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. In the current times, our day-to-day life has become busy in fulfilling our physical and mental requirements and social responsibilities. In this fast-paced routine life, the requirements of the soul are often forgotten. So first, I would like to congratulate each one of you for taking some time from your busy schedule to fulfill the requirements of your soul through this satsang. We will move to the core segment of our satsang, spiritual discourse. In this segment, it's like we have a speaker who initiates a conversation and talks on a spiritual content that has been taken up from surveyed, and then it is followed by a dialogue where all the participants can ask relevant questions around this topic and we can talk to each other and share knowledge. It will help us understand the deep teachings of Vihangam Yoga better and feel more comfortable sharing them with others. Our speaker today is Yogesh Seshagaji. We are blessed to have him with us today. He is a guiding light from North Carolina and a foundational spirit of NAIVY. He has gracefully spearheaded numerous transformative and gatherings for various Vihangam Yoga programs, spreading the wisdom of Vihangam Yoga across the nation. He is a dedicated follower of our Sadgurudeo and inspires us with his selfless service, devotion, and knowledge. We should all be thankful for this chance to learn about deep spiritual ideas. I respectfully ask Yogeshi to share his wisdom with us and talk on the topic Gyaan. Over to Yogeshi.
अखण्डमण्डलाकारम् व्याप्तं येन चराचरम् तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। आद्यन्तरुमध्यमे शाश्वत जाको से अमृत अंतर्यामी हो नमो नमो मम देव। Thank you so much, Rituraj ji. Jai Sadgurudeo, everyone. Today, together we will discuss an important topic without which the spirituality is incomplete. Or I would say not just the spirituality, but anything and everything that we do is incomplete. And what the topic is none other than Gyaan, the knowledge. Before we understand the importance of knowledge, let's first understand the basic definition of knowledge. What knowledge really mean? And of course, whatever we will be discussing today will be based on Sadgurudeo's knowledge in his supreme conscious state that he manifested through Swarved. So in Swarved, Swamiji has dedicated one whole chapter on this topic. But that topic is not limited to only this chapter, but at many places across Swarved's six mandal, Swamiji has discussed the importance of knowledge, what knowledge really is, what is the origin of knowledge, and who could give you that knowledge. Everything in a very comprehensive manner, Sadgurudeo has explained in Swarved. Today we will try together to understand some of those couplets, and we will try our best at our intellectual level to grasp that. So Swamiji defined knowledge in a way where Swamiji says, Jo vastu jaisa rahe, तैसा वाको जान रूप बोध निर्भ्रांत है संशयहीन सज्ञान. So when we want to understand or get the knowledge of something or any subject, that knowledge is incomplete until we get the true understanding of what that subject really is. It is the experience to understand that subject in its true form is called a knowledge. And when that knowledge happened to you, then there is no more question or a doubt remains in your mind. If you try to understand something, some concept or some topic, some subject, but at the end of your understanding, if there is still a question remain or if there are doubts in your mind, that means the knowledge is not complete. If I have to give example of Sadgurudeo himself, when Swamiji started exploring the path of spirituality, he met so many sadhu, so many sant, so many guru, and tried to understand what that Supreme Almighty is. And whoever was sharing their understanding, Swamiji was learning, mastering that. But after every step, Swamiji was thinking that it looks like this is not the ultimate knowledge, this is not the complete one. There is still something left behind. That was his thirst that continued until in the shelter of Sadgurudeo, he got the entire knowledge. He attained that Supreme Almighty. and his thirst to understand the true spirituality was complete. So until then, until all your doubts, all your questions are answered, then the knowledge is not complete. In today's world, if we see, very often we acquire the limited knowledge and assume that that is the true knowledge and that is the complete one. And therefore, Swamiji has described it. When somebody think about something and assume something else, that knowledge is not the true knowledge, but it is called incorrect knowledge, avidya. So when someone has a knowledge, but if that knowledge is not the correct one, so even though he has that knowledge, he has a vidya, that is not a true vidya, but it is called avidya. If I have to give you example, those who are not on the path of spirituality often misunderstand the gross thing as conscious things, the mortal things as immortal ones, like our human body. They think that is everything, that is the form of consciousness. And they forget that what we are calling ourselves as truly who we are is not this human body, but something that resides within this gross body. So when you understand or when you assume this gross body is everything, then that is the incorrect knowledge. When we think and act like this body is the everything and it is never going to change and never going to dissolve in those five fundamental elements, when we think our mortal body as immortal, then that is incorrect knowledge. When we are happy, we are enjoying, we are joyful, it feels like this happiness is never going to end. And people start assuming this transient happiness is the eternal one and forget the true nature of bliss, true nature of happiness. So when people live entire their life with the knowledge that has an incorrect foundation, then that knowledge is not a true knowledge, but it is avidya, it is incorrect knowledge. Swamiji further mentioned that there are four layers or four levels of knowledge. When the soul descends into Prakriti and come in contact with Prakriti, and the trigunas of Prakriti influence the knowledge that soul has, then that is the first level of knowledge. But when that person start walking the path of spirituality and reach to the level of his own form, the self-realization, the Atma Sakshatkar, then the soul is disconnected from the trigunas of Prakriti, and there is no more influence of Prakriti on the knowledge of that soul, that Jeev. At that moment, at that time, whatever knowledge the soul has, that is the pure knowledge of the soul. After Atma Sakshatkar, after the self-realization, when the soul continue its journey towards attaining Brahm, he start making the connection with that Almighty, and the knowledge of Almighty start flowing in the soul, and that state is another level of knowledge where the soul still understand, experience itself, and also experience Brahma. So that level is the knowledge that is mix of soul and Brahma. And then the last one, when soul fully reunite with Supreme Being, completely forget itself, then she experience only the knowledge, or I would say the pure knowledge of Brahma. To explain this, in Swarved, Swamiji says, प्रकृति संबंधित जीव का शुद्ध जीव का ज्ञान, युक्त जीव अरु ब्रह्म का शुद्ध ब्रह्म का ज्ञान. So as you walk the path of spirituality, the knowledge get expanded, get more purified. And once you attain that Supreme Almighty, you achieve the highest level of knowledge. Now, when we understood what is the definition of knowledge and what are various levels of knowledge, the fundamental question arises still is, why do we need knowledge? What is the purpose of knowledge in our life? So knowledge is the medium. Knowledge is the means through which we attain our goal. Whether it is a practical life or a spiritual life, everybody has some goals. And to attain your goal, you need to have those skills, you need to have the knowledge how to attain that one. So Swamiji has very, in a simplified manner, explained this concept. And Swamiji says, Geya Gyaan Gyata Sakal Teen Tattva Yah Jaan. Geya Gyaan Gyata Sakal Teen Tattva Yah Jaan. Lakshan Laksh Samlakshit Ling Jati Tattva Gyan. So Gyan exists because Gyata exists and Geya exists. Means a person is a Gyata who is trying to achieve a certain goal, which is a Gaya, and to attain that certain goal, this Gyata require a medium, which is a Gyaan. So unless there is a Gyaan, Gyata cannot achieve Gaya. And unless there is Gaya, Gyata do not require a Gyaan. So it is important to understand all these three tattva, these three important aspects, where you need to have Gyata. Without Gyata, there is no need of Gyan. And if there is no Gaya, then also you do not need Gyan. But Gyan is the interface between, or the bridge between Gyata and Gaya. From spiritual perspective, we can also say Dhyata, Dheya, and then there is a Dhyan. When Dhyata perform Dhyan to achieve Dheya, but to get the understanding of Gaya, you need to have physical understanding of that Gaya. What are its qualities? What are the basics of that Gaya? That knowledge is important before you go into the Dhyan to achieve that Gaya. Therefore, Swamiji says, ज्ञान उदय जब होता है, मोह भ्रम सब जाए, जहां मोह अज्ञान है, त्रिविध ताप दुख पाए. So knowledge is the foundation of our life. Knowledge is the foundation of everything that we perform, we do in our life. Knowledge is the light, a guiding light. And without this guiding light, our life is in darkness. This knowledge is of two types. One is called paroksha Gyaan. Means when you try to understand certain things at the conceptual level or at the theoretical level, that is called paroksha Gyaan. But it is not a complete Gyaan because it is just your understanding at the level of your intellect. Therefore, if even though you have the inside out theoretical understanding of or theoretical knowledge of a particular subject, it is not a complete knowledge because you have not experienced that knowledge. So unless and until you have experiential knowledge, your knowledge is not complete. It is still can have Brahm, can have doubts and questions. It is not a complete knowledge. And therefore, the other aspect of the knowledge or other type of the knowledge is aparoksha or the sakshatkar. When you realize that subject, when you truly understand and experience that subject, that is then the knowledge get complete. And therefore, one is paroksha, where you have a theoretical understanding, and the another one is aparoksha, where you actually experience that subject. This one specifically help you in spirituality. Because spirituality is never complete without aparoksha Gyaan. But to have aparoksha Gyaan, you need to have paroksha Gyaan. Without paroksha Gyaan, aparoksha Gyaan do not happen. स्वामी जी says परोक्ष और अपरोक्ष का ज्ञान भेद है दोय, साधन दोय प्रकार का आश्रय सद्गुरु होय. So to get the understanding, the paroksha, the theoretical understanding, there is one mechanism, there is one path through which you get the physical understanding of a particular topic, particular subject. Like satsang, through satsang we understand the spiritual concepts, all those six eternal entities. Through paroksha Gyaan, through satsang, we get the physical or theoretical understanding of those six eternal entities. But unless you do the meditation as per the commandment of Sadgurudeo, you will not have aparoksha Gyaan. So that mechanism, that path is different. So for that you need a meditation. So satsang gives you theoretical understanding and meditation gives you the actual experiential knowledge. Swamiji says both are important. Swamiji says pratham niyakshar jnana hai, अनुभव पर विज्ञान, बिना ज्ञान नहीं होता है पूर्णमय विज्ञान. So before you experience that Supreme Almighty in your laboratory of this human body, first you need to have the theoretical understanding, the theoretical clarity, what that Supreme Almighty is, what is the Geya, what is your Dheya, what is Atma's Dheya, that you need to first understand theoretically. That is a Paroksha Gyan. And when you experience in your laboratory, then that Gyan become the Vigyan. After experience, Gyan become Vigyan. Until then, it's just the theoretical concept. It becomes a science when the experience come into a picture. And therefore, without theoretical understanding, the true science does not exist. Now, coming back to the physical world and the importance of knowledge in this physical world. We all know that every action we perform right from the moment we open our eyes in the morning until we go back to the bed, everything we do requires the knowledge. The better you have that knowledge, the more you are skilled, the superior that knowledge is, the better we are performing in our duties. Without knowledge or with limited knowledge, we are not very well equipped to perform whatever task given to us. whether it is a family matter or our job or a business or anything that we do throughout our day. Knowledge is the basis for everything. And that's why Swamiji says, Sarva bodh hai gyan se, सर्व शोध है ज्ञान, दर्शे सतपथ ज्ञान से अनुभव ध्यान. So everything that you perform need a knowledge. But if you don't have a knowledge and you still continue performing those actions, then it is like walking the path in the darkness. Sant Pravarji often mention his Divyavani that when there is dark and a person is walking in the dark, so in the dark, when somebody see a rope and they assume it is a snake, or when they see a trunk of tree and assume it is a ghost. What he mean is when we are having a lack of knowledge, then we do not really understand the reality of that subject, topic, or concept, or the situation. So in that situation, whatever we do under the influence of incorrect knowledge or the ignorance. The more the influence of ignorance is, the more you are deviating from the truth. Therefore, Swamiji says, ज्ञान से तपसी तप करे, ज्ञान जपी का जाप, ज्ञान से कर्मी यज्ञ कर, ज्ञान प्रायश्चित्त पाप. We see in today's world, many people perform tap, jap, puja, path, vrat, vaikalya, upasana. But if the foundation, if the basis of your actions, whether you are doing some kind of a tap or a jap or some puja, if you are not understanding what you are doing, why you are doing, how you should be doing it, if there is a lack of true understanding, true knowledge, then even though you are doing such great karmas like jap and tap and puja, path, upasana, vrata, there remains mere good karmas and nothing else. But when somebody perform these actions on the basis of knowledge, then they achieve what they are looking for out of their action. So if tapasvi perform tap in the light of knowledge, then with their hard work they can achieve their goal Same happens with those who perform Yajna Havan. In fact, Swamiji says those who have done bad karmas, but later on have a realization, they regret for their actions. So in the light of knowledge, now they can change the course of their life and can become good human. So if there is a lack of knowledge, then no matter what activity you are doing, it goes in vain. You do not achieve what you are looking for. Swamiji further says, ज्ञान से दाता दान दे, ज्ञान प्रतिग्रह ले, ज्ञान नीति है राष्ट्र की, ज्ञान सकल सुख दे. Even when you are donating something, whether it is your time, your energy, your money, whatever it is, or if you are accepting dan, in both the cases, knowledge is required. It is necessary. It is important. Because if you don't have proper understanding whom you are donating, what you are donating, how you are donating, then your dan may not fructifies. It will not give the same fruit that you are looking for. And it is not limited to only an individual, but in fact, Swamiji go way ahead and says even the nation should have all its policies and perform the activities, perform their roles based on the knowledge. ज्ञान नीति है राष्ट्र की, ज्ञान सकल सुख दे. When that happens, the subjects of the society experience the happiness, the joy. In previous several satsang, we have discussed about bhakti, we have discussed about vairagya, which are the important aspect of spirituality. And spirituality is incomplete without bhakti and vairagya. But Swamiji says bhakti cannot happen if you do not have right knowledge. If you perform bhakti without knowledge, then you are surely going to go on the path of darkness. ज्ञान बोध बिनु भक्ति नहीं, गिरे ब्रह्म पथ जाए. Swamiji further says, नयनन पट्टी बांधकर चले अंधेरे माही. We all want to perform bhakti. Day in, day out, we see so many examples in the society. They do bhakti of one or the other, their Ishta Devta. But if the foundation of knowledge is not there while performing bhakti, then Swamiji guarantees that it is going in vain. And in fact, it is absolutely just like when you are, blindfolding yourself and walking the dark path. Therefore, Swamiji is saying, बिना ज्ञान नहीं भक्ति है, ज्ञान भक्ति का प्राण. वीतराग में भक्ति है, भक्ति न हो अज्ञान. You cannot perform bhakti in ignorance. You need to understand what is the true nature of bhakti. If we do not have that understanding, then whatever bhakti we are doing will not give the true benefit. So whether it is a prakritic karma or a spiritual path, if knowledge do not exist there, then it's all zero. It is also not that you need to be of a certain age to get the knowledge, because even in childhood, when they perform some activities, they still require knowledge. So knowledge is required in every phase of our life. When you get true knowledge, then everything happens as you expect. पूर्ण ज्ञान के उदय में कर्म भक्ति सब होय, बिना ज्ञान सब भ्रम है, धोखा जीवन सोय. How many people assume something all their life and perform activities under their assumption and waste their entire life? And therefore, true knowledge is important. Now, when we truly understand the importance of knowledge, and we know that everything that happens in this world requires knowledge, then a couple of questions arises. And first and foremost is, what is the origin of knowledge? Where do knowledge come from? Swamiji says, ज्ञान योनि पर ब्रह्म है, अमित ज्ञान भंडार, सत्य ज्ञान जो जगत में पूर्ण ज्ञान कर धार. So the origin of knowledge is none other than that Supreme Almighty. All the knowledge that exists in this world comes from that Parabrahma. And just like the Paramatma is infinite, its knowledge is also infinite. Soul also has knowledge. As we say, soul has three qualities: knowledge, desire, and efforts. But the difference between knowledge that Parabrahma has and the knowledge that Atma has is the soul has limited knowledge, while the Supreme Soul has infinite knowledge. ब्रह्म ज्ञान सब ज्ञान है, ब्रह्म मान सब मान, ब्रह्म शांति सब शांति है, मिलन ब्रह्म सब जान. So when we know that Parabrahma is the origin of knowledge, then obviously If you attain Parabrahma, then you will attain the highest order of knowledge. And when you attain Parabrahma, then there is absolutely nothing remain to be attained. When you experience, when you get the aparoksha Gyaan of Parabrahma, then you do not require anything to know more, because that is the origin. There is nothing beyond that. There is nothing subtle than that. And to attain that Parabrahma, what you need, as I mentioned at the beginning, there is a Gyata, there is a Gyaan, and there is Gaya. Now we know the Gaya is Parabrahma because that is when I will achieve the highest order of knowledge. Then what is the medium? Which is that Jnana, which is that Gyan that will help me to attain Brahma? And Swamiji says that is the Brahma Gyan or Brahma Vidya, Paravidya. Now, when we know the origin of the knowledge is Parabrahma, and attaining Parabrahma will help us attain that highest order of knowledge, the next obvious question is how you will get that knowledge, which will tell you how to attain that Parabrahma. Or in other words, who will give you that knowledge? That is where everything comes down to that eternal entity who is Shuddha, Buddha, and Mukta Tattva, what we call Sadguru. From past so many satsangs, we already have a good understanding that Paramatma gives everything. Paramatma fulfill all your desires. But Paramatma do not give himself. And therefore, to attain Paramatma, we need something, we need someone who could handhold us and show that Paramatma. Regarding this, Swamiji says, Ek marg prabhu milan ka anya dwara nahi koy. Brahma vidya prakash mein sahaj yoga rata hoy. So Brahma vidya is that knowledge. That is the only path, absolutely only path. Why? Because the Parabrahma is one, and therefore the path is also one and only one. And which is that path? That is the path of Brahma Vidya. That is the path of Sahaja Yoga. There is absolutely no other path and no other door through which you will go and attain that Supreme Almighty. And who helps you on that path? Swamiji says, Prema Bhakti Sadguru Karo, Sadguru Alakh Lakhai. Pratham Milan Guru Fir Prabhu, Janma Maran Dukh Jai. So Paramatma gives everything, whatever you are asking for, he may give everything, but he never show himself. Sadguru is the Satta. Sadguru is that eternal entity When you wholeheartedly surrender, when every breath of your life is devoted at the holy feet of Sadguru, then Sadguru is the one who does the job for you, who opens that door and you experience that Almighty. Sadguru alakh lakhai. And therefore, what is important? Important is Prathama Milan Guru. So very first thing is to surrender yourself. Go and find that Sadguru who can show that Almighty. Swamiji did not just mention the aspect of spirituality in a very subtle and simplified form in Swarved, but at many places also mention his complete experience about it, the experiential understanding of these concepts. And at one place, Swamiji says, Purna Rupa May Janata, Brahma Chakra Vistar, Brahma Vidya Gud Tattva hai, Sadguru Kripa Apar. In a way, Swamiji is also saying that when you achieve the Supreme Soul, when you attain that Supreme Almighty, through the path of Brahma Vidya, then you get the complete understanding how this Brahma Chakra works out. But that does not happen without Kripa of Sadguru. So in a nutshell, knowledge is the foundation of every activity, every karma, whether it is physical or spiritual. When you have knowledge, you do your activity in a right way. But when you have a lack of knowledge, you may still do that activity, but the result would be different. And it is not just about the activities that you perform. In fact, the true understanding of this life is also not possible without knowledge. When we are in happiness, we forget the Almighty, but when we are in sorrows, we often remember God. Sadhguru Kabir Sahib says, देह धरी का दंड है सब काहू को होए ज्ञानी भुगते ज्ञान से अज्ञानी भुगते रोए. When we come in human life, it is obvious that someday you will be happy, the other day you may not. You may go through the cycle of happiness and misery. But when we are in misery, those who are ignorant, those who are spending all their life in physical gratification, in fulfilling the craving of their organs, sensory organs, when they are in misery, they keep crying, why it happened to me? What did I do wrong? On the contrary, if the same difficult situation arises in a person's life who all his life is on the path of spirituality and understanding what is the true knowledge, what is the truth of this life, they are well equipped to handle that difficult situation. It is not that they will not face the difficulties, but they have good understanding of it, and therefore they are equipped to handle that situation in a better way. So it is not about what you do in your daily life, but it is also about the situations you face in your life and how you handle it, and the knowledge help in that aspect as well. So without knowledge, everything is zero. And this understanding comes from spirituality. Therefore, without spirituality, I would say everything is zero. I would like to conclude here. I tried to share my understanding on this very deep aspect of spirituality. If I made any mistakes, please forgive me. Over to you, Riturajji. Jai Sadgurudeo.
Thank you, Yogeshi, for this excellent guidance and teaching on Gyaan topic. Your knowledge and hard work are helping us understand this little by little, making us feel more comfortable with Vihangam Yoga teachings. I would like to request that if anybody has any questions or any thoughts or would like to share anything on the same lines, please come forward. If you have any burning questions or desire to know something, or you have to share any insightful thoughts, please come forward. The forum is open.
Yeah, Yogesh ji, you explained Gyaan Vigyan very, very well. And Paroksha and Aporoksha extremely well. The thing I'm still concerned about is Swarved, when you go beyond second, third bhumika, Chetan se Chetan, wahi experiencer is that the mind is left behind. So whatever happens in the mind is basically we need it. It's a practical knowledge, information. We need to do certain things. That's fine. But this Brahma Vidya, it happens not by us. To me, it looks like it is Guru's grace. That's when it happens. Gyan, Vignan comes from Guru's grace. When we totally surrender and all our aham, the ego is surrendered, then we feel so light and Guru's grace bestows upon us. That's when you feel, oh, this is amazing. So that amazement is the real experience. So I think we have to feel so humble, giving up our ego to the feet of Guru, and that's when the true Gyan comes to us. Is my feeling.
That is absolutely right, Hasmukh Bhai. Without Guru, we cannot move even one step on the path of spirituality. Guru is everything. Without Guru, we are walking in the darkness. Guru is the guiding light on the spirituality. Guru knows that yukti, how you can even control the mind and then take the mind to its origin. Guru is the one who gives all this knowledge based on your abilities, and therefore the surrender is extremely important. If there is no surrender, then Guru, even though has whole knowledge, he do not, uh, give a bit of it. Like we take an example of Gita. Lord Krishna had all the knowledge all the time, and he was with Arjun every other day. But he did not give that the knowledge of Brahma Vidya to Arjun until Arjun completely surrender and then ask question, please guide me, please help me. I'm in complete desire. So similarly, anybody who is true adhikari of Brahma Vidya, then only Sadguru bless him, give his grace, and show the path of this deep spirituality. So without Sadguru, there is absolutely nothing. And that's why I was saying, Prema Bhakti Sadguru Karo, Sadguru Alakh Alakhai. Prathama Milan Guru Phir Prabhu, Janama Marana Dukha Jan. So you said it absolutely right. As long as we have ego, Guru does not exist. Swamiji has said, Jahan hum hai, tahan wah nahi. Jahan wo hai, hum nahi. So if me exist, then Guru or Paramatma do not exist. And where they exist, me does not exist. So if there is ego, Guru's knowledge does not exist. So that is the first step or the first prerequisite, I would say, of this spiritual life. So you said it absolutely right.
Yeah, and the Gyaan is not possible without bhakti. That is true. At the same time, without bhakti, there is no Gyaan, and without Gyaan, there is no bhakti. They go hand in hand as if there is no difference. Uh, without you surrender, there is no Gyaan. And without your Gyaan, there is no bhakti. So, is there anything you want to say something more about it?
Absolutely. I would say there is a circular dependency between Gyan and Bhakti, and in fact, Vairagya as well. Unless you feel, love towards Sadguru, the knowledge will not appear in you. And unless you have true knowledge, you will not understand the true nature of Bhakti. So they go hand in hand. And therefore, we have to, I guess that's where Satsang helps us. Satsang give you the theoretical understanding of these both the aspects. What is the knowledge and what is Bhakti? Why you need knowledge, why you need Bhakti. So when we join Satsang and understand this one, slowly your love towards Sadguru, go to the next level. And as your love towards Sadguru elevates, automatically his knowledge, you start, understanding his knowledge. Um, therefore, just by reading Swarved, and if you do not have, that love towards Sadguru, the deep understanding of Swarved will not come to you. But if you have love, but reading Swarved will tell you why bhakti is required, and that's how that knowledge will help you to go more closer to Sadgurudeo. So both, absolutely, both go hand in hand, and there is a circular dependency. They automatically start helping you in both the ways. But your desire to walk that path, your desire to get that knowledge, your desire to surrender should be there. I think that is a fundamental.
जी जय सदगुरुदेव। Good morning. Very nice discourse, Yogesh ji and Hasmukh ji. Very wonderful question. I just wanted to add one thing when Yogesh ji is saying the dependence on Sadgurudev and is very important, and the circularity. It's always like which one comes first. We always question that, and I think the aparoksh Gyaan, which is the Anubhavi Gyaan, and the Bhakti and the Vairagya, they're all supposed to happen concurrently. Actually, it's very much like a wheel that is rolling on the road. So all the spokes of the wheel are taking their turn, right? In taking the weight of the vehicle. So very similarly, but when we are saying that, how do we surrender to Sadguru? And I think we have also discussed in greater details in like some of the Hindi satsang also that where like Yogesh ji said that jahan main wahan prabhu nahi, jahan prabhu wahan main nahi. I think this one has so much built into it, which means that um, we have to inculcate in our everyday activity. We can actually um, um, spiritualize all the work that we do, and through reminiscing Sadguru and also allocating all the positive outcomes is not because I was so great, but because of the blessing. And even if when the outcomes are not positive, they are negative outcomes, we should not be deterred. We should not be, we should always have this mindset that this negative outcome happened for a bigger cause. So we even spiritualize even the negative outcome. And then what begins to happen is the I begins to change. And I think that is when the ego begins to dissolve. But and at the same time, you will see that naturally your sunshine, which is any kind of doubt in the sanctity of the Sadguru Satta and the existence and the omniscience and omnipotence of that particular entity begins to also dissolve. And then hopefully that's the ultimate surrender that is required to become the patra or the vessel of the Sadguru Kripa. I think this is the reason I'm saying that is, and just to be able to arrive to that, the sadhu samagam, which is the having these kind of open conversations with people who are on the path and also people who are actually experiencing, is absolutely critical. So I just wanted to add a little bit more color. I think Yogesh had already spoken in so many ways, but the more we discuss about that, and the more curiosity we have and share multidimensionally, it definitely helps. So just wanted to add that. Just thank you.
Anybody else who would like to share anything? This spiritual discourse indeed on Gyaan was delivered by Yogesh, truly exceptional. This was really very vast, despite the vastness of this topic. The way he compiled and organized all the subtopics, they were exceptionally well executed. Anybody who has joined this session for the very first time? I do not see any new names here, but if I'm missing or anybody who is completely new to this platform, who has joined this platform for the very first time, please come forward, introduce yourself, and let us know how did you get to know about this platform. If you're joining for the first time, please feel free to unmute yourself and introduce to us. All right. I want to give a big thank you to everyone who joined this discussion and took part in this session. Your excitement and thoughtful questions made this really a great experience for all of us.
Rituraj ji,
Now,
if you have time,
yeah.
can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Yogesh ji, thank you so much. Sorry for the delay. Jai Sadgurudeo Yogesh ji, I have this question. So as we know that our soul has three characteristics: desire, knowledge, and effort. Since we are discussing here knowledge, so how the desire and knowledge they are interconnected? Of course, effort part I understand, but my question is that desire comes first to the soul, or the knowledge comes to the soul, like that is the first thing soul has, or how it is interrelated? So that is my question, Yogesh ji. Thank you so much.
Ji, Jai Sadgurudeo. Thanks for your question, Dipti ji. So, Ichha, Gyan, Prayatna, desire, efforts, and knowledge, those are the inherent qualities of soul. No matter whether soul is in bondage or is in liberated state, these three qualities always remain with the soul. Now, how Ichha and Gyan are interlinked? I would say because those are inherent qualities, they always exist, and soul cannot stop desiring something. For example, when soul is in bondage, soul has a knowledge that it experiences that eternal bliss, but because of the layer of prakriti and trigunas, now it is not have that knowledge that it could understand how it can regain that knowledge. So there is a ichha, there is a desire to have that experience again, have that bliss again, because it has that knowledge. But that now that the knowledge is covered, or the layer of prakriti is, limiting the knowledge in achieving that bliss. So that is why there is always a desire to do something. And to do that thing, whatever efforts the soul will be performing is based on the limited knowledge that soul has. So even though if you go one step forward and think about when soul is in liberation, even then soul is still has a desire. And that become one of the point. In one case, Swamiji there is one doha where Swamiji says that कि ब्रह्म सुख में लीन रहने के बावजूद भी आत्मा सुख की चाह करता है, प्राकृतिक सुख की चाह उसमें आ जाती है। और क्योंकि आत्मा का ज्ञान जो है वो there is a up and down, it never remains same. That is another difference between supreme soul and soul. The knowledge of soul do not remain in same, in the same state. It goes up and down, and based on that the karmas also happen. So therefore, the desire is there, even though whether it is in liberated state or in bondage. And to achieve that desire, based on its knowledge, it perform the efforts. So knowledge help to fulfill the desire through the efforts. But this desire is keep, arising in soul, because that is its basic or ingredient or the quality, I would say. Others can, chip in their thoughts as well.
Thank you so much, Yogesh ji. Yeah, I think I have now correct understanding on this. Thank you so much.
Ji.
I can add a little bit of color, Yogesh. Very beautifully you said that. The ichha is always there, and one thing I learned in the company of Uncle Ji, which I think is worth sharing, is that you very rightly said that the Atma, even in the state of liberation, is still alpagya. There's alpagyata. Alpagyata is a in the Atma also. So even in the permanent state, the desire continues, and that is why we had a session on bhakti or mukti. And that's why we always say that we should always crave for bhakti. If anything that we are praying for Sadguru, we ask bhakti and not so much on mukti. The reason it is said just because of that reason, because with the bhakti, we will develop intrinsic prem, and what we will attain to is not just Paramanand, but we will attain Premanand. And when we attain Premanand, then the likelihood to fall will be absolutely low. But when we just ask for Paramanand, we have, and I think we had touched a very prakritic example, such as when we are in a cruise, right? In a cruise, um, it's like a five-star hotel, that is a traveling five-star hotel. So people are so much like lost in so tasting so much food and enjoying so many spas, and all of those amenities are there. And so, but if you just keep them for a longer time, now they will begin to descend on lower levels and begin to go and take a dip in other swimming pools and maybe taste some other food, and which was not on the higher levels. So very similarly, looks like the Atma faces similar situation even in the Paramanand. But if the Atma has developed an intrinsic prem through the bhakti, and he attains into the Premanand, for example, he dwells with his parents and he has intrinsic love with his father and mother, he is more likely to stay on that level and enjoy all the amenities there and not come down. I don't know, this is like a very rudimentary and crude example, but that is at least the way I try to understand, and just wanted to share that. So so that's why the bhakti always, because a lot of the jnani, even if they are in touch with Sadguru and they have full devotion, surrender also, and they have aparoksh Gyaan also because of the kripa of Sadguru. But looks like they have always been asking for the Paramanand and not so much the Premanand, even though that is something I still have to kind of understand more. And so these are the kind of questions that keep coming up. But as we understand more and more, I just wanted to kind of lay that out, because unless one really is continuously into that experience, it is we will always be debating and understanding around that area and never be right. But because when I listen to other Mahapurush, they also speak on a similar term, that prem bhakti is more durable in the mukti state. So just wanted to share that. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Niranjan ji. Thanks a lot.
Yes, Sadgurudeo, everyone. Just to add to what Niranjan Bhaiya was saying, there is a very beautiful line in our Vandana as well. मुक्ति सदा मन भावनी हंस विभो विज्ञान तदपि मिले मोहि भक्ति वर मीन नीर जिमि प्राण. So this one is directly what Bhaiya was saying just now. Jai Sadgurudev.
Yogeshji, Gyaan or Gyaan, you said so beautifully explained it. Agyan is a lack of Gyaan, of course, or wrong understanding. And Gyaan is true understanding, and Vignan is all about. But actually, Gyaan is already within us, or it's the source. Agyan is what we have collected. So our sadhana should be to just take away, throw away Agyan, clean up the mess that we have created. Then what remains is Gyan. So Gyan is not something there that we have to attain it. It is already there. We have covered it by our misunderstandings and our desires. And we cannot get out of our own shackles. That's why we feel bonded. But the true knowledge is swatantra, is liberated. It is already its nature. The Gyan is its nature, Brahma Gyan and Brahma Vidya. But it is the process is how we uncover and take away the avidya that we have created. What would you say?
You rightly said. So, like, this is another quality that soul has. Soul has the knowledge. Soul even has the knowledge of liberty. But what happens is when it comes in the bondage, when it get in contact with Prakriti, the Trigunas of Prakriti play their role. So as the influence of one particular Triguna, whether it is a Sattva, Raja, Tamo gun, our karma happens. And because of the layer of these Trigunas, we start getting avidya. So knowledge is there. It is just like the sun is there in the sky, but when the atmosphere has so many clouds and the clouds cover the sun, it is not that sun has a disappear or vanish. It is just that the sunlight is not reaching to us or we are not able to see the sun because there is the layer of those clouds. So you're absolutely right. What we need to do is remove that layer of clouds, remove the layer of those trigunas. The soul will when we are saying attaining the knowledge means that is the process through the meditation that we cleanse our soul, we cleanse and we work towards detaching ourselves from trigunas of the prakriti. When trigunas of the prakriti get detached, you automatically experience who you are. So until then, whatever we are accumulating is the incomplete or incorrect knowledge. Even though we have the true knowledge, it is just the hidden one. And we have to, and that is why Swamiji says, bahar bahar khojte antar ki sudhi nahi, bin sadguru pao nahi, bhataki maro jagamahi. So that knowledge is within you. That Paramananda is also within you. But you don't understand that, and that is why you think the knowledge is outside and you start going out to get that one. So when we get on the path of spirituality, that is the process of cleansing ourselves. That is the process of detaching or removing those layers of agyan, that avidya, which is accumulated due to the influence of prakriti, due to the influence of those trigunas. And as we work harder and harder in the shelter of, under the shelter of Sadgurudev, then the light of soul start, coming out, and slowly all those, the clouds go away, and then you get the true light. That is what all it is. Ji, Jai Sadgurudev.
And one thing I just wanted to also maybe add color is the biggest alpagyata or ignorance that the soul uh, uh, inhibits as it gets attracted to the prakriti, or it gets gravitated or pulled in the prakriti, is that it begins to it loses the identity, its own identity, and begins to see itself as the doer of his actions in prakriti. So all the actions in the prakriti are driven by the ahamkar, which is comprised of sattva, rajas, tamas, which constantly cycles. So that's why we see that our mind is constantly moving from some good thought, bad thought, and some, rajasvic thoughts and all that. And our actions are driven by those, that faculty, which is the antahkarna, which is triggered by the man, which is like a stirrer in the pot. It's constantly churning out of the chitta where the sanskar relies, and the atma loses its identity, and it begins to identify itself uh, with the um, with the actions that he's taking. So that means he begins to see that he's the doer of those actions, but actually he was not the doer of those actions. So those actions were driven by he by sattva, rajas, tamas, which he has inherited. So that is the biggest ignorance or alpagyata that the atma um, inhibits, and because it has inhibited for um, innumerous births, it becomes like so hard to get out of that identity. And that is where all the spiritual process is all about. That's why we were talking about how do we practice that jahan main wahan prabhu nahi, jahan prabhu wahan main nahi. It is all really about moving the pointer out of the antahkarna. So you can see that all of these pieces are revolving to fix the same problem in multiple ways. We are trying to understand and then disassemble all these individual components and still trying to address the same problem that we have inherited. We have identified out. That is why they say that aham is all about identity, and because of the wrong identity, in Hindi we call it galat sangat. If you have a bad company, then you're just basically you're stuck into that bad company. So we all have that bad company because of the wrongly we have identified, and we have uh, taken ourselves as a doer of all our actions, which is driven by sattva, rajas, and tamas. So you can see that everything is. That's why this whole thing is like a illusion or maya. And the way we try to first is to be able to understand, and then we begin to practice surrender and devotion, and we begin to allocate all the eyes to Sadguru, that I am not the doer. It is all happening because of his blessing. And even if the outcome is good or bad, there's a greater entity who is giving that experience, the outcome, so that my devotion only gets stronger in the positive direction. And only then, with that kind of practice and abhyas through seva, satsang, sadhana, I think then the progress can happen. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Thanks, Ranjanji. Looking at the time, I'll take up one more question. I'll put it up for Mukeshji. He's asking if bhakti leads to mukti. Does anybody would like to answer this? And after that, we will move to the last phase of the satsang.
Jai Sadgurudeo. Actually, I wanted to just give the context to what I was pointing to earlier. Like Niranjanji, you said that we should go for bhakti the Premanand rather than Mukti. But eventually, Bhakti leads to Mukti, right? So, how does that distinguish from, whether we are going for Premanand or Pramanand?
Yeah, Mukeshji, that is the question I also have all the time actually. And the very fact that you are asking exactly that question, and I keep asking that multiple times. Um, Even if I ask Uncle actually many times, and um, I haven't gotten a fully satisfactory answer to that question yet. And but based on what, so that's why I gave that example of the cruise ship, where when we, everybody is mukt on the cruise ship, but who has more likelihood to go and taste the spa and the pool and the food on the lower level? um, I think the person who is not in love with somebody, he probably has more likelihood to go down and over a longer period of time. So I think based on the prakritic mind, we can we can think like that. But I think, is there a more satisfactory understanding? I'm still looking for that actually, because eventually bhakti and mukti is the same thing, because without bhakti there is no mukti. So what is different in the bhakti which results into the Parmanand versus Premanand? So I don't have an answer to that yet. But yeah, it's a wonderful. I'm glad that we are actually discussing the pinnacle of something, possibility. But looks like, even with the rational mind, if I think like this, when we develop the quality of surrender, and that we dissolve the process of I, and not just dissolve, but at the same time begin to develop intrinsic love for that Sadguru Satta, for its quality, for its charitra, for its leela, and for its compassion, and for, somebody was asking like, what is in it for Sadguru to travel the world and uh, and talk about Brahma Vidya? What is in it for him? Some people ask questions like that. And then the only thing I try to say is, well, you have to understand there is extreme compassion in Sadguru Satta, and who is doing that? Sadguru is not doing. The Almighty is doing through his body. So you can see that Almighty has so much compassion for the souls who have fallen down, but they're not able to rationalize that actually. So similarly, if the Almighty has so much compassion on all the jeev, and just by internalizing that particular property and quality of the entity of the Sadguru Satta or the Almighty, if we begin to naturally develop extreme love in return of that extreme compassion, I think that results into the mukti, which is the nature of the, probably of the bhakti. That is the best I can think, but hopefully we will learn more as we continue this sangat of uh, experienced um, disciples. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Niranjanji. Yeah, I think you probably said it right. We have to be in love and surrender. Then only we lead to a eventual, liberation. Because if we are targeting just that liberation, we may not be doing through a surrender or other means the right way. So that's what I'm probably getting at.
You thought it absolutely right. I have exactly the same understanding. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to be mindful of everyone's time's commitment. You should look at the clock. We are already over this time. I like this session to conclusion. So let us move forward to Shanti part. This is the last phase of the satsang today. I request everyone to sit down for Shanti Path. In Shanti Path, we chant for peace for everyone in this universe. May Sadgurudeo bless the entire cosmos with peace, love, and prosperity. I would now request Devji to recite the last few lines of Shanti Path for us. Over to you, Devji.
Yes, Gurudev. Hey Prabhu Shanti Sarupa Shanti Shanti Maya Shanti 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 Jana Shanti Ho Purna Shanti Maya Shanti Hey Prabhu Shanti Pradhan Kara Toro Sarva Shanti Deva Sada Phala Shanti Me Shanti Shanti Sukha Shanti. Thank you.
Devji, thank you all of you for a truly rich discussion. We saw a lot of interest. It was a joy to share this time with all of you at the satsang today. Please take the opportunity this week to deeply ponder the topic we explored together. A heartfelt thanks to Sikhaji, Yogeshji, Srirangji, Hasmukhji, Niranjanji, Tiptiji, Shikhaji, and Mukeshji for their dedicated seva, thoughtful participation, and the valuable energy they brought to the discussion. My appreciation also goes out to the entire team for flawlessly organizing and coordinating this satsang. May Sadgurudeo bless us all with a week of peace and spiritual growth. I look forward to seeing you next Sunday at 9 a.m. on this Zoom session. Wishing you a beautiful day and week ahead. Jai Sadgurudeo.